interview is being conducted for an oral history project sponsored by Carver on the Minnesota. The interviewer is Daniel Huepenbecker. The narrator is Loren Huepenbecker. The interview is taking place in Carver, Minnesota on July 29, 2025. Where did you grow up? What town?
Glencoe.
You were out in Glencoe?
Glencoe,
Okay.
Minnesota.
Sure. It's a nice town. So
I grew up on a farm there 3 miles north of town.
you were on a farm, okay. Tell me a little bit about your father.
My father was a carpenter for 3-4 years, but then he decided that wasn't good. There was no workman's comp or anything at the time. But the money you made in the summer, you spent in the winter because there was no work in the winter.
Okay.
So then he bought a farm and farmed all his life.
Okay. And tell me about the farm. What did you do on it? What crops, what animals?
Well, we had, you raised mostly grain at that time. You didn't raise a lot of soybeans and stuff.
Yeah.
Corn, if you were lucky, it went about 45 bushel to the acre.
Okay.
But the oats went about 30 bushel to the acre. And we had 16 milk cows at first, but then it eventually got up to 40.
Okay.
And 325 chickens and a bunch of hogs.
Okay.
And you started milking. When you were 6, you milked the cow in the evening. When you were 8, you started milking 1 in the morning and went to school. We walked a mile to school, but I never was too interested in school.
So was it a one-room schoolhouse?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had kids all through little up to bigger size?
Through 8th grade.
Yeah. Okay. And you had to walk to school in the wintertime?
Yeah, a lot of times, depending on the weather.
Okay. Did you continue school? Did you go off to high school then?
I took 1 year of high school.
Okay. Did you go into Glencoe?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just tell you this because I wrote the nomination to put that on the National Register of Historic Places, a historic school, particularly like the auditorium and everything there. So I kind of know where you spent that 1 year of high school. Did you do 4-H growing up?
No.
No? You weren't a 4-H or a FFA or?
No.
Okay.
I was in FFA
Okay.
for a year,
So then what happened after you left high school?
I stayed home and helped my dad.
Okay.
And then when I was 20, the Korean War was on.
Yeah.
So I enlisted in the Air Force for 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. So you enlisted in the Air Force.
Huh?
How come you picked the Air Force?
I didn't want to sit in the mud hole.
Good decision.
But I went to Denver and got trained on guns,
Yeah.
bomb racks and stuff. So then when we got to Japan, I was there for 5 months. Then they sent me to Korea, where I should have been in the first place. And we put bombs under airplanes and fused them,
Sure.
50 caliber machine guns in them planes. And then the war ended while I was there, so that fall I got to come home.
Okay.
And then they gave you a questionnaire of where you wanted to be stationed. And I thought, well, I want to go in some southern state where it's warmer. So they sent me to Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Sure. So it's a quaint little town.
What?
It's a pretty little town.
Yeah.
Right there on the Gulf.
Yep.
So you met somebody down there, though.
Yeah. Then there was a bunch of us were sent to the gun room. The only guns we had was an air police. I think there were 14 of us with a gun number. So then they sent us to 5 of us to the maintenance squadron. So we had to go back and inspect the guns once a month. The only guns they had there was air police. And then a fella was building a roller rink in town. And one of my guys I worked with was a neighbor of his. And I said, well, I got to meet him. I need a job. So I went over and met the guy. And when the rink was done, these people had never roller skated in their life. But I got a job managing the floor for them.
Okay. So that's how you got your start in the entertainment world.
Right.
You probably hadn't thought that's what you were going to do when you were growing up, did you? You probably thought you were going to be a farmer, huh?
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. And a lot of people criticized when I didn't go for farming. Because after I got done there, when I got out of the service, I bought a roller skating business at Shakopee, the old Haps nightclub a mile north of town. And I had met my wife down there, and she was a telephone operator. So I went home, bought the skating business, and then she asked for a transfer to Shakopee. So I went back down there and we got married, come back, and I ended up in the entertainment the rest of my life.
So where did you meet Edna?
What?
Where did you meet Edna, your wife?
At the roller rink.
Well, she came in to go roller skating?
Yeah,
Okay.
but she couldn't skate very well.
Is that what caught your eye?
So I had to help her.
Oh, yeah. This good-looking guy come in and say, let me help you skate, huh?
Yeah, she had trouble at first.
Okay. So, how long did it take for the sparks to fly?
Well, I think I got discharged on February 20th, and we got married on March 30th.
You moved quickly.
I had got the skating business going,
Yeah.
and my brother and a couple of cousins run the skating business while I was gone.
Yeah. Okay. I got one question for you. I was looking at some newspaper stories, and I saw a picture of you with like a early snow blowing machine for skiing.
Yeah,
In Shakopee?
I made snow with the first snow machine in Minnesota. And that was at Valley View Ski Lodge on Highway 212, about 1.5 miles down from where the roller rink was.
Okay. So you thought you needed a little extra thing besides the roller rink at that point.
Yeah, and most of my time after that, I had from 2 to 4 things going on.
Okay.
But 4 was too many. I had to give up
Sure.
one.
Sure. So what made you think of making a snow machine?
Well, I didn't make the
You
machine.
didn't. You bought it?
No, I just worked for this lady
Okay.
running them.
Okay.
There would be 2 of us up there all the time.
I mean, that was pretty new stuff.
Yeah, it was. It was the first snow machines in Minnesota.
Did you make any money with it?
No.
It was too early, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was ready for that quite yet.
No. Now, we'd make snow all night,
Yeah.
and then they'd walk on it sideways to break it up, and then they'd have skiing the next day. And that went on all winter.
Okay.
What was really bad is when you had a warm weather, and it wasn't cold enough to freeze snow.
So, well, you get into the historic record as a pioneer for skiing in Minnesota here.
Yeah.
So what did you enjoy about running a roller skating rink?
Well, before that, when I was at home yet, we skated 2 nights a week. I enjoyed skating. And after working down south in that roller rink 7 nights a week, Sunday afternoon, Saturday mornings, it just kind of grew on you. And I enjoyed it. And the people that owned the roller rink, when we opened the first night, they didn't know what to do. So we'd have an all skate, and I'd go out on the floor, and when it was time for a couple skate, I'd come back to the counter and tell him what to say, how many records to put on.
Sure.
But after a week or so, he had it all figured out. I didn't have to do that anymore.
Sure. Did you have food? Did you sell food at the roller rink?
No, just drinks
Just drinks, okay.
and candy bars and stuff.
And rent out the skates? That was pretty much admission charge to get in, or just money from renting out roller skates?
No, skating was 50 cents a night if you had your own skates,
Okay.
75 cents if you had to rent shoe skates.
Okay.
Now, it was funny, with all them GIs down there, you needed more girls to skate. So on Tuesday night was ladies' night, they got in free. That's when we opened, on a Tuesday night.
A good marketing move.
And then the rest of the week, the girls paid 30 cents to skate.
Okay. So, but once you got them, the boys followed, right?
Right. If you had enough girls there, the guys would be there. And with 30,000 guys at Keesler Field, there was always somebody looking for a place to go.
There you go. So when you're up here at Shakopee, did you have a night where you had lessons for people for skating, or?
No, I tried that here, and it didn't go over.
Okay. Interesting.
Not there.
Yeah.
But then when we bought the ballroom,
Yeah.
we taught dance lessons for old-time music. We taught old-time polka,
Okay.
waltz, and Polish hop, and modern. We taught 1,800 kids to skate or to dance.
Yeah.
I had Bobby and Bob Anderson were my dance instructors.
I saw an ad for Bob, and what was his wife's name?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, yeah, okay.
They did a real good job for me.
Yeah.
My son seen them teaching up at Withrow Ballroom when he was playing in the band with Lester Schuft.
Sure.
He played concertina. And he said, these people really are good.
Yeah.
Because we had taken dance lessons from a different instructor some years before. But if you were having trouble, they wouldn't go help you.
Okay.
But with Bob there, if you had a problem that you couldn't get the step, he'd take you off to the side and made sure that you got it. And after the first night's lessons, if you didn't think that this was for you, he'd give you your money back.
Okay. So how did you pick out who was going to come do the music at the ballroom once you got it?
Well, the former owner had some bands booked ahead,
Okay.
but not too many. And when I took over, I started using the bands, some of them that he had.
Yeah.
One of them I had to turn down because they got in there and they started playing at 20 minutes after 9.
Okay.
And this was a lady that owned the band. And I said, you have to leave her earlier than that at home because you're supposed to start at 9. She said, well, we leave at 6:30 no matter where we play. I thought, well, then you're not going to play here. That was her last job there.
Yeah. Did you have an office there, or did you work somewhere else? Where did you work out of for your little empire of businesses?
Well, most of it was done from home. The booth reservations were all done from home.
Okay.
On our phone, that number was advertised. And if people wanted to book a wedding dance, I had forms made out.
Okay.
And a couple would come up to the ticket window and tell my wife they wanted to book a wedding. So then they'd round me up, and I'd go in the back room, and we'd sit down and get all the details and book your wedding. And when we had the ballroom, I didn't really have a job. I tried to fill in wherever was needed.
Yeah.
You know, behind the bar if they were getting behind. Or at the end of the night, you'd go out and help hand out coats and book weddings. And I'd book 1, 2, 3 weddings a night. The one night I booked 6 weddings.
Really?
After we got going.
Oh. So?
And that was a good feeling to have people coming and wanting to book
Yeah.
that much ahead. But a lot of the people, when they booked a wedding, they wanted a certain band.
Yeah.
So they would book a wedding as far as a year ahead. Because I booked my bands a year and a half ahead.
Okay, really? Wow.
And some would come in and tell me that what wedding date they wanted. And they want to know what band I had.
Yeah.
If they didn't like that band, they'd move that wedding right now to a different date.
There we go. There we go. So tell me, you know, you're kind of running the show, but you say you don't have a job. Exactly. Tell me about your wife as your business partner. How important was she?
Very. She did more work than I did. We always cleaned on Thursday because that's when the beer trucks and stuff would come. And we had dance lessons on Thursday night because the ballroom was already warm.
Yeah.
But her and I did most of the cleaning down there. But everything that I wanted to do, she always was right there. She took care of all the booth reservations.
Yeah. Who kept the books? Did you do that? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was always something that was done the following day or so.
Yeah. Count out the money that came in.
Right, from the tickets and then the
Right.
bar money.
And how much did it cost to get into the dance, or did that depend on the band?
Yeah, that was around $3 at the time.
Okay.
Now I could play more on a Sunday dance, it's $15.
Okay.
Because the crowd, the older people are getting less,
Yeah.
so the crowds are getting smaller, and you have to charge more,
Okay. Yeah.
or you're not going to have any old time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So your income? Did you have you had a bar? Did you make much money off? You had a bar there.
You know, the bars never make as much as people think they do.
Okay. Interesting.
Everybody thinks that they spent $20 at the bar.
Yeah.
But that's because they're sitting at a table with some cheapskates that didn't spend that kind of money, because your average bar would never average $5 per person. People don't believe that. But that's the way it is.
Okay. And you didn't do food.
No. Now, we did catering.
Okay.
If you want to have your wedding dinner at our place, you could have that. I had a caterer in Waconia that would cater your food in there.
Okay.
And he did a good job.
Yeah.
And it's funny, at that time, your weddings would cater 400, 450 people. Weddings are way down now. But it was funny how some of these weddings were that big. Now I hear people spending $40,000 for a wedding, but they go to one of these places at a winery. I can't see spending $40,000 for a wedding.
So how much would you charge for if a young soon-to-be bride and her mother come in and say, we need to book this place? Did you charge them by the number of people or just a flat rate?
For the wedding?
Yeah,
For their dinner?
for a dance, if they were just doing a wedding dance.
Or just for a dance?
Yeah,
I gave the wedding couple 50 free tickets. And we had a set I can't remember the number now, but if you got over a certain number of people, I would give part of that money back to the wedding party. I used to make postcards out, and for people that you didn't invite to the dinner, if you wanted to invite them to your wedding, you'd send them these cards inviting them to the dance. And we'd have a social hour before the dance. And if you sent them cards out, you usually were going to make some money on your dance. Some people threw them away.
And could you dance? Are you a decent dancer?
I can now.
Well,
If I get my foot healed up.
that would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned to do the Polish hop and stuff,
Okay.
which a lot of people enjoyed.
Did your wife get better at dancing and
Oh,
roller
yeah.
skating?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Under your care and watchful eye, I guess, among other things. So.
Yeah.
Good, good. So you said you had 4 businesses. You had the roller skating rink, you had the ballroom. What are the other 2?
I live on a farm,
Okay.
and it was crazy. A week before the guy came and told me he wanted to sell the ballroom, I had put a lease for 2 years on an old, what do you call it? The building where they used to, for the National Guard in Hutchinson.
Sure.
So I had skating 2 nights a week in Hutch, dancing one night, dance classes, and tents to set up.
That's right. You had the tent business.
Right.
That was your big 4th one. Okay.
Yeah,
And that would have entailed a little more travel, right?
yeah. See, now the tent business, pretty much, we set up tents on Wednesday and Thursday nights. A lot of times I'd get one on Saturday morning. Well, then my wife would have to go to the ballroom and let the people in to set up the wedding cake, because I had to go set up a tent.
Yeah. So.
And then when the floods came,
Mhm.
I had a big horse trailer. And I went to the ballroom and I loaded up all the tables and chairs, and I was able to rent the hall in Carver and move the wedding down to the Carver Hall. You talk about some extra work. But the band and everything came down, and I didn't have to turn down their wedding or leave them hanging. And then when the water went down, we moved the stuff back in the ballroom.
So, in my past, I've run some historic sites which had weddings in, and I know it's a lot of work because you got to always be watching what's going on. Did you have some weddings that went downhill a little bit and got a little crazy?
You mean fights?
Yeah.
There were no fights as long as I owned the ballroom. I had 2 guys that were arguing on one corner, and a young guy came and told me, he said, "Loren, them 2 guys are going to get in a fight back there." I said, "Okay, thank you." And I went and stood in the back corner. They didn't know I was there. But pretty soon they got up there toe to toe. And I stepped between them and I give them a push. One landed in the middle of the dance floor and the other one landed in a booth. And then I did like this. I said, "Come here." And I said, "If you guys start fighting in here, you're going to get a ride to Chaska tonight." Because I said, I'm not going to tolerate that. Before I bought it, there were fights there.
But you were a serious businessman, so you weren't going to allow anything like that.
I was not going to allow any of that inside.
Did it help at all that the baseball field was down there? Did that help your business at all, do you think?
No, I don't
Wasn't
think
really
so.
connected. Yeah. How about the firemen had their annual ball down
Yeah,
there?
they had their fireman's dance.
Yeah. And did they do anything else down there with you, or?
I don't know if I should tell you this.
You should.
Well, I don't know if I want it on the record, though. We had Mike Shaw there one night, which he's going to come up
He
behind me.
is.
And the ballroom was full. And way back on the northeast corner, we had a car fire. So I called the fire department, or I called 911, and I said, I got a car fire here, but I said, I don't want no flashing lights and no sirens, because I got a ballroom full of people and I don't want them scrambling to get out. And the firemen came up and took care of the fire and went back. They came in the ballroom when it was done, and I can't remember if I bought them a beer for coming down or not. But I should have if I did.
I'm trying to figure out how you managed all this. You're running a farm, you're doing the tent business, which requires you to run around.
Okay.
You had to do now did you go up a couple times a week up to the skating rink?
Up to where?
To your roller rink?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 nights a week.
And then you're doing the ballroom.
Well, I ended up renting out the farm. Because the tent business was getting bigger, the ballroom business was getting busier, and I couldn't handle all four. And then after 1 year at Hutch, I managed to get out of that roller skating lease. And then I ended up selling the roller skates to a guy from Mound. So that helped relieve some of the pressure.
Did you put your kids to work?
My kids,
Yeah.
yeah,
You put them to work? Ah.
yeah, it was crazy.
What were they good at?
Well, I had the boys, by the time they were 18, they were tending bar, taking the money. You couldn't drink beer at 18, but the sheriff says you can sell it. So, and the guys I had, one of them couldn't make change good. Because I had a guy come up to me and said, Loren, this is the third time I've been at the bar, and he charged me a different price each time. Well, that's not a good bartender. So I put him filling glasses, and then my boys started tending. One would work half a night, the other half a night. They switch off every hour.
There you go. What'd you have your daughter doing then?
Huh?
What did your daughter do then?
Sold tickets. At the beginning of the evening, you needed a ticket seller and someone in the booths, to take care of reservations.
Okay.
So she sold tickets. And then when the ticket sales got where it slowed down, then she could go out on the other side and help wait on tables and pick up glasses and bring them back to the bar.
Okay. So you drive up, you'd walk in a couple different entrances, or what's it?
One entrance.
One entrance. What was your capacity out there? How many people could you put in?
But when I bought it, you could put in about 400 people. And then someone turned me in and said that Loren's running over capacity. So the fire marshal came out. And he was nice about it. He said, Loren, you were turned in, you're running over capacity, you don't have enough doors to satisfy the capacity you have. And I said, well, what do I have to do? Well, he said, I'm not going to shut you down if you're working at it. And I was a carpenter by trade. I had give up my job as a foreman for George Cook when I bought the ballroom. So he said, for every 20 inches, gotta get this right now, for every 20 inches of opening, you can have 75 people. Well, I was way short of that. So in the back there were two small doors that I didn't like. So I bought some 36-inch doors, put double doors, one over here, one over there. Then he said, in the front you got 2 doors where you're supposed to have 3. So I changed the 2 doors to 3, and I had to put another stairway in on the side with another 36-inch door. Now I was getting close to capacity. And then we still had the doors where we brought the beer and stuff in, but there were no steps there. And then on the side where we did the catering, I went and put an extra set of doors, 2 36-inch doors. Now I could have a capacity of 1,100.
A big difference.
Yeah.
With
And when Mike Shaw played there, I needed it.
well, we'll try to remember that. So
Well, see, Mike enjoyed that because Mike got $1,000. And with that $1,000, if we went over a certain amount, he got more, which was a good deal for both of us.
sure. So was he maybe one of your biggest act there that played?
What?
Was Mike one of your biggest income people?
Yeah, he was.
Bands?
Yeah, I had Polish bands that would draw 500-600
Yeah.
if you had a big wedding.
Yeah.
But Mike was my biggest draw. I ran other rock bands like Rockin' Hollywoods and different bands, but they couldn't hit 1,100.
Rockin' Hollywoods cannot hit 1,100.
Yeah, see, they play at the fair at Hutchinson.
Yeah, they're a
every
big group.
Huh?
So and they were still playing together.
Yeah, and I had Butch and the Four Speeds, Rockin' Hollywoods.
We had the Polish Playboys in this morning,
Yeah,
and we were talking to them about you.
was it bad?
Oh, it was interesting. Can I say that?
Oh, interesting, huh?
Interesting.
Yeah, those guys were something else.
I think they still are. After talking to them this morning, they haven't lost it. So they liked you as a person who was very straightforward and helpful, I think is what they said about you. You know, that
Okay.
they knew that they would get the help that they needed. They sounded like they were choir boys when they showed up, were they?
They what?
Were they choir boys, you know, sort of good angel boys?
They were good.
Okay,
They were good.
I'll pass that back on to them.
Yeah, we had so much fun with them. After the dance, most of the bands complained that you never could find an owner to pay you
Yeah.
when we went to the Ballroom Operators Convention. I made it a point to go and pay my bands when they were done. But I never paid the Polish Playboys.
How come?
They'd come up to the bar after the dance, and I'd buy them each a beer and pay them. And then we'd tell stories or pick on somebody for an hour, hour and a half. And when your cheeks really started hurting from laughing, then you went home.
Oh my.
We had fun after the dance with those guys. And I don't, you probably realized that when you interviewed them.
they both had the highest compliments for your wife, and said she made sure that they were taken care of at the end of the night.
Yeah, and then if there was any popcorn left in the popcorn machine, I would give that to them, and they'd eat that on the way home. And then their wives would have to clean that crap up they spilt in the van.
And they mentioned that Edna would sometimes make him sandwiches for the road home, and how much they
Yeah.
appreciated that. You know, that was 50 years ago, and they still remember how kind your wife was.
Yeah,
So, and could still tell a few jokes about you.
yeah, she thought about everything.
Yeah, that's a nice partner to have on something like that, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Well, I needed that with all the different things I had.
Did you find sometimes you booked somebody and they didn't turn out very good for music? Didn't draw people?
Yeah. Occasionally, if you get one of them, you just have to stop using them.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes. You know, you get to know these people real well. And I had a decibel reader. I don't know if they talked about that,
No?
but if you're out working for someone running a jackhammer, if you're at 85 decibels, you have to furnish ear protection. A lot of people don't know that. I bought a decibel reader because when you had a wedding dance, your older people want to sit and visit because they probably haven't seen each other for a while. So I told the bands, I'll give you 5. I said, you can play up to 90 decibels. But I said, when you get above 90, I'm going to be making a trip to the bandstand. And you're going to cut it back to 90. But I had one band, they'd start, and I'd have to cut them back. When they take their first break, when they start again, they'd turn it up a little, think I wouldn't notice, and I'd have to get on them again. And I had to do that on both breaks. And then the band leader said, did they come here to dance or did they come to visit? I said, well, they come to do both. But I said, you don't have to have 105 decibels to dance. And most of the bands, once I had them trained in on that 90, they were pretty good about it. Even Mike didn't give me any trouble with that.
Did the bands bring in their own speakers, or did you
Yeah,
have,
no,
they brought in their own?
They brought in their own.
So they come in and haul them in and set them all up. So, and you were just doing Saturday nights pretty much, except for the weddings and?
If some gal got pregnant and they were in a hurry, then you'd have a Friday wedding.
There we go.
What are you going to do?
Go ahead with the wedding, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice.
It's harder on Friday. People are at work during the day and stuff.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Good. So sometimes you might work 2 or 3 days at the ballroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the ballroom, sort of Quonset hut, we would call it. What was the roofing material? Was it metal? Was it
No,
paper?
I didn't know it when the ballroom, it had shingles on it,
Okay.
and we had a couple leaks in the summer. And I had a friend that worked for 3M, and they did some tanks and stuff they sprayed with urethane foam. So he called me one day and he said, Loren, I got an answer for your problem. He said, you call this guy and get him out there. So we sprayed a urethane roof on the ballroom, the whole thing. I cut my heat bill 50%, and it didn't leak anymore.
Nice. That's nice. So inside, Did you have air conditioning?
No,
Okay, fans?
yeah.
Okay. You could probably get pretty warm in there on a,
Yeah, back then the people didn't care so much.
you forget that, don't you? Yeah.
But
A few bucks?
I added on some more fans up there. I remodeled a theater in Norwood from a theater into a building for electrician. And there was a big 4-foot square fan with a big motor on it. There was one fan like that up there already, and I added that one. When I added that one, if you stood 25 feet out on the parking lot, you could feel the air from that fan. So, and then the windows would tilt, I think they tilted in, so the air, when it came, would come down over the booths, and it would be cooling.
Sure.
The only trouble was in the winter you couldn't do that because you no way you could heat it. And in the winter is when you had problem with smoke.
Okay.
And a year after the ballroom burned, I had lung cancer from secondhand smoke.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, was it heated in any way then? Because you were open in the wintertime.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was heated.
Okay. So how was it fueled? What type of heater?
Fuel oil,
Okay.
number one fuel oil.
Yeah, had to come in and fill the tank every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. And you didn't really have a kitchen, you had a big refrigerator, I'm guessing?
No,
Didn't even have a refrigerator?
all we had was the beer coolers and pop coolers.
Okay. Okay.
And then we were lucky when the first year when I bought it, Coke decided they weren't going to have 6-ounce bottles of pop anymore. See, when I bought it, you were selling 6-ounce bottles of Coke for setups, which would make 2 setups for 50 cents. Well then, when Coke said they couldn't do that anymore, that's when I put in a pop machine that I could pump out more drinks than you could ever drink in there. And I put in an ice machine, and we went to setups where you got a glass full of ice for 25 cents. So I charged the same money as if you bought a bottle and had 2 setups.
Sure.
Because as a new operator, I didn't think I should be raising no prices.
So the rest of the building, did you have a good dance floor?
No,
Okay.
it was an old masonite floor that wasn't taken care of.
Uh-oh.
It could have been good,
Oh.
but it wasn't taken care of. So before I bought the ballroom, I had bought a bunch of maple from the Catholic school in Victoria. They were going to build a new kitchen. So I bought the maple out of there. And they said, what are you going to do with it? I said, well, someday I'm going to buy the ballroom at Carver and I'm going to put a new maple floor in there. And the guy that owned it didn't like that remark very well. And then a few months later, Hartman from Victoria had bought the old public school, a 2-story school, and it had all maple floor. And he said, Loren, you need some more maple? I said, yeah. He said, you can have it. All you got to do is get it out of there. And we hauled it out of there. And then I built a maple dance floor in sections 3 by 15.
Oh.
And I built it all in sections so that if we got another flood, a bad flood, I could take those sections out and lay them on top of the booths to keep them from getting wet. And it was crazy. We had a dance on Saturday night, and on Sunday morning we tore out the old dance floor, I took a skill saw and I cut out where I wanted the dance floor. And we got the old floor out on Sunday and got 2 rows of maple set in and started sanding. And on Monday we put the rest of the floor in. And on Tuesday we sealed it. And on Thursday we sealed it. And on Saturday we danced on the new floor.
Wow. That's a schedule most contractors would run away from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some gymnasium got flooded. I can't remember where, but I was talking rubber cushions for dance floor. And this guy came to me and said, Loren, could you use these rubber cushions? So these cushions were 3 by 4. They were pretty deep. And I bought them cushions from him. And I put them cushions under that new floor as we laid it. So we had the only rubber cushion dance floor in Minnesota.
Pretty amazing.
And when people danced, if they were at the corner dancing, you could see that floor just go like that. And it was easy to dance on.
Oh, I bet. Wow, what a great dance floor. You mentioned that you did this because floods. Did floods affect your business?
Well, yeah, the one time we had to haul everything out to the city hall. And then one of the weddings that was scheduled when it was flooding canceled out. I don't know if they had found a different place to take their wedding, but they didn't realize that I was going to take care of them. But we had a couple weddings or a couple dances where the water would be like a foot deep. Well, instead of letting people drive down there, we hauled them down for the dance. I hauled the band down,
Yeah.
but we knew we weren't going to get flooded out by 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you gotta keep it open when you can, right?
Yeah, we kept it open.
Yeah.
And then for that one dance that we had downtown, I had one of my cousins come down with a boat. We took coolers and went down to the ballroom and got ice out of the ice machine, hauled it to City Hall so we could have setups and stuff there.
But it worked, right?
It worked.
You get people who wanted to help you out.
You have to make it work.
Yeah. So, January, 1986? It's a cold January night up in Minnesota. How did you hear about the fire? When did you hear about it?
At 5 in the morning,
Somebody called you up? Do you
Yeah.
remember who?
my son,
Okay.
my second son. But I was in Missouri. I went down there to buy a truck for the tent business. But instead we ended up turning around coming home.
By 5 a.m., they probably could give you a pretty good, say,
Well, I think they tried to call me and they didn't know who to get a hold of, but one of the firemen, I think, told them, I don't know, to call Lloyd. And he called me and said that the ballroom burned. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, they said there's nothing left. And I couldn't fathom that. I just couldn't believe that could be possible. But by 10 that night I was home and I drove down there, but there were signs up to not go there. So I turned around and went home and went back the next morning.
so what was that like driving up the next morning and seeing the ruins?
It's devastating.
It's been hard. And you have a lot of money invested in that at that point.
Yeah, I had done so much work. tried to improve things, you know.
Yeah. How did you tell your wife? You remember?
Well, she was sitting right there when I got the call. See, we had friends in Missouri. The guy that told me about the urethane foam, he got transferred to Missouri as a maintenance engineer for 3M.
Yeah.
And we had been there before, and I had bought a couple pickups there. But I could buy some real good used pickups that hadn't had no salt.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we went down there to buy our trucks. And now we still buy our cars and stuff down south. I don't buy no cars here. The car I drive now was bought in California.
You still driving?
Huh?
You still driving?
Yeah. Why not?
I'm just asking whether, I'll be seeing you on the road when I leave.
As soon as that boot comes
Well,
off.
that can slow you down a little bit, can it? And all of that. So you had to make a decision. Your ballroom was gone. Was it a hard decision about what to do next?
Yeah. You thought you should rebuild, but land was high priced. And when I started checking on it, now, I was just totally out of debt when it burned. So it looked like I was going to have to go in debt at least $400,000 plus the insurance money to rebuild.
Sure.
And at 56 years old, I didn't see that feasible anymore. And maybe it was a mistake, I don't know. But I didn't rebuild.
So at that point, you still had your tent business.
Yeah, and it was growing.
Yeah. So,
I still had the tent business, I still had the farm.
right. So I could see how the tent business would keep you pretty well busy if you wanted to.
Well, it would slow things down, but it was pretty good.
Okay.
And then what was funny, after the ballroom burned, when we set up tents, we'd say, okay, we'll bring a tent like to the firemen in Carver, but you got to furnish 20 guys to help me set it up, and I'd supervise it. But after the ballroom burned, some people didn't like that setup that they had to furnish this crew. So I got where I started hiring guys. I had 5 guys that went with me to set up tents. And our business picked up more. So that was a good move. But you didn't know that at the time.
I look at your career and, some people, they're happy to sit at a desk, work with a calculator or now a computer. That wasn't you, was it?
No. I've been moving all my life. And I sold the tent business when I was 68.
Not a bad move at 68.
Right. And then, the guys I sold it to, sometimes they'd have 2 bookings, and I'd still go to Silver Lake or somewhere and set up a tent for them.
Did you enjoy it? Because again, it's not a quiet job where you sit in an office. You had to go out and deal with all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I like mixing with them people. I'd give people a bad time when I'd get there.
Hard to believe.
It is. Some of these places, if I was 5 minutes late, I would get the business. But I made sure I never got late there again, and then it turned around. Somebody else got the business for being late.
remarkable career. So the ballroom era, fading away, what happened to it?
Well, it's gone. After the fire, I went to the firemen. All that was left was cement block and concrete. And the city gave me permission to bury the ballroom on site. So we dug down deeper, got all the stuff down in there. And the last time I was down there was a couple of years ago, and I think there's nothing showing. If you didn't know the ballroom where it sat, you wouldn't know where it was at.
So when you got out, though, the ballrooms around the state were, I mean, at one point, Minnesota had, I think, the most ballrooms in the country.
We had 27 ballrooms in the Minnesota Ballroom Operators Association when I bought the ballroom. I think we're down to about 3. I'm not sure right now, but see, Merv sold the one at Glencoe. Him and I we'd go up there and dance on Sundays all the time. But I don't know where they stand right now, but the ballrooms have got less.
Skating rinks. Again.
Skating rinks fell by the wayside.
Yeah, what happened, do you think?
Well, now they're telling me that skating is coming back out west. I think it's going to come back. But I'm too old to enjoy it once more.
You're not going to try to get on the skates again?
Nobody wants me to. My skates are still sitting in the basement.
Yeah, she's going, oh no.
I got a $150 pair of roller skates for myself.
Nice. So one sort of last question. I'd have one bonus question after this, but last question is, so do you feel like you lived a good life?
I've had a real good life. I've done a lot of different things. I had a milk route. I ran a drive-in for a summer. I built a tent roller rink that I moved around in different towns. One town you'd get a crowd, the next town you wouldn't. But I've had a good life, but I had a good wife.
You brought a lot of joy to a lot of people over the years.